Most of my videos are for men, as you maybe noticed if you are not really new here. But this video is going to be for women and for men as well. Yeah, you will learn a lot from what I'm going to say, hopefully. But I want to address women. So imagine that you are a young woman and you are in a room with two men, and both of them have an opinion on what a woman should be sexually. Yeah, we're gonna talk about women's sexuality, about sex, about sexual expressions, and all this exciting stuff. One of them tells you, so since you are a woman, and especially when you are a young woman, you have to get married straight away. You gotta have sex just with one partner, and yeah, you will stay home, maybe work a little bit, but just for your pleasure. But your duty is to give birth. You have to be pure, honest, loyal, modest, clean the house, cook. You have to be a good woman. And this is my definition of a good woman. A good woman does this and that. So she takes care of her husband, she takes care of the house. And there is nothing wrong if you want that, if you truly want that. But most women nowadays, they would be like, what? No, I want my career. I want to date multiple people. I want education. Then this man starts shouting at you, no, you are supposed to be like that. Otherwise, you're gonna stay lonely. Imagine that you're over 40, living with your cats all alone. And you're like, oh, why are we talking about this? And you think, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be controlled by a man who tells me that being a slut is bad, sleeping around is bad, and all of a sudden that's called a slut. Okay. And then you look at the other man, so what do you think about that? Because he clearly disagrees. That's why he's here in this room. And he tells you, no, you can do whatever you want. You can be as sexual as you want. You can sleep with as many men as possible. You can start OnlyFans. You can earn your own money. Show your booty. You can be filmed porn. This is so much better than doing anything else. Like, what? I totally respect women. Oh, by the way, you want to have sex right now? So as you guess, basically, I'm just describing the two extremes, not really extremes. Yeah, like most men, they are somewhere like not really in between, but from what I see, it's either this or that. Yeah, like the fight between conservative and liberal men for women's sexuality. There are tiny grains of truth in each position. However, both of them are wrong, because men don't have any purpose to understand and to accept women's sexuality, because women don't really know about that. That's one of the reasons. We'll talk about it later. So about being a whore, the left, the liberal man, they will tell you, you just be the degenerate whore so we can have an easy access to you. Let's convince a woman that she can sleep around, that she can be a slut because that's her body. She does it for herself. So all these men can also enjoy you without giving anything in response. Sexual liberation, hookup culture. Do you really think that women enjoy that? Most women do. I mean, at some point of their life, women do enjoy hooking up with strangers. Yeah, that's possible too. However, like if we talk about like the mass picture, the majority of women, like that's not really good for women. That's not really good because you still feel used because of the attitude of men, and because also you do this because you were convinced, brainwashed if you want, that you can do this and that's fine. So you give the access to your body to all these men who wouldn't care about you. You sleep with them the next day, you have some trouble, something happens, you call them telling them that you need help. What are they going to reply? You're a strong, independent woman. I believe in you. I'm actually at the bar with friends, so can we chat later? The other part, strict, conservative, religious. I cannot imagine what's going on in Muslim countries. And it's not like I want to speak about that because I don't want to be beheaded. Someone recently told me, yeah, that's amazing how we just go to some Muslim country and we immediately respect. We have to respect. Now, fear has nothing to do with respect. I do not respect, but I fear because I don't know what to expect from you. But not saying something just because someone might kill you, this does not deserve my respect. Imagine if you have just one or two sexual partners who don't really care for your pleasure, and you live in this relationship thinking, oh, I'm a good woman. You live in this situation for years, thinking that sex is something a man is supposed to enjoy. Your orgasm does not matter. You know that there is like a huge gap between the amount of men who think that their women always have had an orgasm and women who actually had an orgasm. That, like in most heterosexual relationships, women do not get to come. Simply, they leave with no pleasure. And honestly, like just based on my experience, yes, like lots of men who support this be a good woman, they are not really good at sex. They just do the most typical type of sex. When a man has an orgasm, the sex is over. Like nothing is left for you, woman. You should have used your time to get your pleasure, but if you didn't have your pleasure, then there is something wrong with you. What should I do? Maybe I should drill you with my dry fingers? Honestly, that's so sad. Men, like both sides, liberal, conservative, religious, non-religious, they still have this poor mentality. I'm talking about the majority of men. They do not understand women's sexuality. Let's talk about traditions. Before patriarchy, thousands of years ago, you wouldn't be called a whore. You would be a high priestess. You would be living in a temple, goddess's temple, teaching men the arts of female sexuality. Prostitute is a high priestess. How do you like that? Some men would really get butt hurt. But the thing is that men see sex as a form of validation. They kind of want to see a woman who enjoys the action. This is what you see in porn. They search for pleasure, for women's pleasure. Even if you will not find it in porn, you will see acting, exaggerated screaming, women rolling their eyes so deep. And just like one man with autogynephilia, Sisi described it in his book, a woman is just open eyes, blink, blink, holes. So getting fucked is what a woman is. This is how most men see a woman. Women also watch porn, and they learn from there that in order to please a man, you are supposed to be a submissive whore who always wants sex. But at the same time, you should be a good woman, being just with one partner, having sex only in a relationship. This is very confusing for women nowadays. And even those women who are like, I do whatever I want, I'm gonna sleep around, still doesn't really go exactly the direction where it should, or where it would fulfill you, where it would make you truly happy. I like talking to women about their sex life. And what I noticed is that lots of women don't know what they like. They just do it for a man. They just do it affected by the medium, porn. Again, always porn. Porn affects everyone. That's just like a plague. And I'm not trying to get rid of porn. I just want to see good porn, which depicts women's sexual pleasure. So let's talk about women's sexual pleasure and women's sexuality. As I said, yeah, like lots of women don't know what they like. And even if they know what they like, sometimes they cannot say it. Or they learned, okay, This is very sexy when I express that I like this. Again, what you like has to be like in some certain mm, category, yeah, that is liked by men, which is not hard because you can always find a man who sexualizes whatever you have, whatever you like. That's not a problem. But if we talk about most men who consider themselves mm, dominant, they even it's so funny because you have sex with a new man and he acts all dominant, learned by porn. They do like everything exactly the same, as if they just went to the same sex school. They're just copies of each other. Please do something different or just stop watching porn. I would divide this dominant men into like two categories: those who really like that and those who just think that they are supposed to behave in this way, because men are also affected by porn and they think that they have to behave in some certain way. They don't really want to be dominant. They just saw a woman, no, like, sorry, thousands women in porn who enjoy this way. When a man behaves like in some certain, okay, I'm not gonna talk a lot about it, you all know what I mean. And then I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Can you like stop? And then we find out that actually he doesn't really like that. He just thought that he's supposed to behave this way. So this pressure is even more on women. So let's get back to when she knows how to express what she likes. Fine. But then she has sex with a man and something happens that she doesn't like. And she doesn't know how to say it because she doesn't want to offend him. Men are extremely sensitive to like when it comes to sex. If you tell them after sex, like, oh, like it actually hurt me, why didn't you tell me, oh my god? But then if you tell them during the sex, they might be very offended. They may just lose the erection. Very sensitive creatures. For example, fingering. Most men are so bad at fingering because again they watch it in porn, and the type of fingering you see in porn can be traumatizing for a vagina. Oh, every woman is different, right? Learn some tantric moves, yoni massage. This is much better than what you see in porn. So women tell me, I just move aside, I just try to avoid that, but I don't know how to say, so I expect him just to guess. He's not gonna guess. Men are happy when women pretend to be sexually satisfied. So happy, they don't want to notice anything. Literally every man who sleeps with women will tell you, no one faked an orgasm with me. You can always tell the difference, right? Sure. No, you cannot tell the difference. I mean, if you, a typical man, can tell the difference, it means that the play was so bad that she didn't even try to convince you. Most women can imitate an orgasm so well because most women, again, know what an orgasm is, but they know it when they play with themselves, and then they can imitate it in their sexual life. But honestly, I'm done blaming men here. We can say that our sexuality was stolen from us. That's true. That was suppressed because men fear women's sexuality, blah, 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 etc. We can all talk about it non-stop, but enough. I'm really done with this victim mentality at the point that it starts annoying me. Complaining about men is important, don't get me wrong, but when there's complaining in the form of calling them out, and this is important like on a daily basis, but if you're a woman, the main focus should be on yourself. I believe that this is our personal responsibility to get this power, the sexual power back. And this doesn't just happen by complaining about men again, which is different from calling them out. Just complaining and not doing anything. If you never played with yourself, I don't know, is it possible? God has gave you everything to explore yourself. You don't need a man for that. You have fingers, you have toys, you have shower, everything. That's one thing. This is where you start. If you are a heterosexual woman, this is your not just right, but I find it obligatory that if you sleep with men, first you realize your sexual energy. Okay, let's start with this, yeah? A woman in her power, a woman who knows herself sexually, I want to say is unstoppable and she will fuck literally every man. No, this is not what I was going to say. But her sexual power is so much bigger than man's sexual power. You cannot even call it sexual power. That's not really, well, power. A woman who knows what she likes, a woman who is not ashamed to be sexual, a woman who does it for herself and she knows that it's a big privilege for a man to witness her sexuality, to participate in this, to be allowed to be inside her body. When she knows that, her sexual energy only grows and she will want more. A woman who does not suppress her sexual energy, who's open about that, who's expressed. So for a woman like that, one man is not enough. What can you do? A man has an orgasm and then what? He becomes useless. He falls asleep. A woman is an extremely sexual creature, but she can be sexual when this sexuality is not exploited by men, is not put into porn in this like some very certain shape of what a woman has to be sexually. Men don't know women, and this is women's job to teach men. First, you realize the sexual energy. First, you explore it, you open it, you let it be. This is so much strength. And then you can use it however you want, because sexual energy isn't just for sex. All of a sudden, right? I mean, we all know about this. Hello, Freud. You can use it for work, for art, or you can sleep around, or you can be just with one partner. But your life won't be the same if this partner does not satisfy you sexually. I believe that it's women's job to teach men female sexuality. Sexually, a woman is a higher creature than a man. Only a woman has God's power, which is another topic, but again, that was taken from us. Now it's just like Godfather sounds very logical to me, right? Like all alone, such an independent man, but okay, you give a seed to a woman. She makes life out of that. Only a woman can bring life to this world. Other humans. This is God's power. And this is sexual power, because everything comes from sex. But man made sex disgusting from both sides. When you shame it when a woman has sex, or when you want to exploit that. But this is not just men. Well, obviously that's very comfortable for them and beneficial to own women's sexuality, but women also participate in this. Especially look at all these young women nowadays who are sexually liberated, shaking their ass at the gas station. Like, what are you doing? I understand. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. But what is for? Women realize that you can make money on sexual harassment. In your normal life, you would reject all this unwanted sexual attention from lots of men. But nowadays, you can monetize it. And you can say, oh, you're doing kind of the same. You also have these loyal fans where you post nudes. Well, not complete nudes, but I'm not against complete nudes. But I'm pretty sure that if you do not look at everything through the hole of your penis, you will see the difference between sexualized and used, and sexual and beautiful. Anything a woman does, stays in a family with one man, has sex only in a relationship, or sleeps around with multiple men, or do sex work. You know, sex work can be different. It can be prostitution, like literal sex for money, or it can be financial domination, or it can be webcam. Some women who work in a webcam industry, they don't even undress. I mean, most of them do, but some of them don't. And this is also considered a sex work because everything is sex, right? But whatever, even if it's not work, even if you just sleep around with multiple men, again, whatever you do is good if it's based on your choice, which is based on the deep knowledge of yourself. Whoever you have sex with should not take it for granted. When you think, I do it for myself, you really do it for yourself. Not because you were convinced by porn culture that this is how you're supposed to be as a woman. Yeah, it seems like it's not a lot of choice that you have. You either stay home and be an incubator with very poor sex, or you be a degenerate whore who gets exploited by men because she's sexually liberated. That's all bullshit. This is not for women. This is for men. And this is women's job to teach a man what it's like to be with a sexually open woman. Our bodies are very different. Men's body and women's body are different. We experience different things in sex. And a man will never be able to understand what a woman feels. I mean, it doesn't really work the opposite way. But I believe that women know a little bit more about men's sexuality. Everything from everywhere kind of like tells us about it. So behave accordingly. No, you don't. Every man I talk to, I teach him about my sexuality. I find it so wrong that women cannot speak to their partners. They don't talk to them. Oh, I like this, I don't like that. You cannot blame men in everything. Oops, I cannot believe I'm saying this. But you cannot. That's on you. If you cannot speak, that's because of you. You have just one life in this beautiful body. I mean, not in this, in your own beautiful body. With this extremely sophisticated sexual structure. That's a very complex system. Why don't you use it for yourself? Sex can heal both men and women. I believe that if you're in a relationship, if you're sexually unhappy, you have to do something about it. Sometimes people just do not connect, and they realize it after they get married. Often. Sometimes your man is basically useless. He won't listen to you, he wouldn't do anything, and you just don't click. Yeah, there is like no sexual chemistry. By the way, often people we have this chemistry with, this fire. These are not the same people we would spend our life with, but that's a different topic. But you have to work on that. And if you're silent, if you don't talk about the problem, and you not having pleasure during sex is a problem, then that's on you. You are responsible for the damage you're bringing to this relationship. Because you're hiding, you're lying. If you fake an orgasm, you're a liar. I mean, I understand all the reasons why women do this, because I'm a woman. I faked an orgasm twice in my life. Women fake orgasms because they want it to end. Yes, you pleased me, now continue. And by the way, twice is like very insignificant percentage in comparison to how much sex I've had in my life. Again, a man who has sex with you gets a great privilege. But if you fake all your stuff, if you don't teach him anything, if you don't open this portal to a different world which is unknown for this man, what is the privilege about? Sometimes I'm trying to imagine what it's like to live as a man, and if I was a man, I would probably sleep with submissive women because I have a lot of dominant energy. But it would be so important for me to have sex only with women who have sex for themselves. When I say that she has sex for herself, it does not mean that she doesn't care about this man. No, she does. But the thing is that if it's not like shifted to some weird direction, both people get pleasure from one person, from a woman. A woman has to become extremely selfish when it comes to sex. That's the only way to understand what she's like. I hope it will bring some change into your sexual life, first of all, with yourself. Change, I mean, if it's needed. I want to ask women to share in the comments down below your stories, your personal story with your sexuality. Now, a short message for men. You will see my Twitter and my Instagram in the description to this video, but just keep it in mind that if you slide into my DM, you won't get a response unless you pay the initial tribute. I do not speak to men for free, only to women. I know, life is unfair. And the last word for women, I hope that today you will find some time to stay just alone with yourself, to pray to yourself a little bit. Okay, have a good day.